So I watched Cyberpunk Edgerunners, and yes, I know I'm late to the party, but let me explain myself. I bought Cyberpunk 2077 last Black Friday. I started it and loved it. Then I got distracted by other games, and then I went back to Cyberpunk, and then Edgerunners came out, and I said to myself, okay, I'll finish the game first, and then I'll watch the show just in case there's spoilers. So I played more of Cyberpunk, and then I got distracted by other games again, and then I just recently went back to finish Cyberpunk, and then finally I watched Edgerunners, so there you have it. Anyways, this video isn't going to be an analysis or a structured essay review, it's just going to be my honest thoughts. I'm not going to try to reason my opinions or persuade you to like it or anything, I'm just going to talk about it. First off, however, if you're planning to watch the show, I highly recommend playing Cyberpunk 2077 or at least get familiar with the world. The show is based off the version of Night City displayed in the video game, which from what I know isn't a direct adaptation of Cyberpunk 2020 or Cyberpunk Red's versions of Night City, so to sort of understand the show a lot better, play a little bit of the video game. You don't have to finish it like I did, there's no spoilers for the game, but you will appreciate it and understand the anime 10 times better if you get familiarized with the world that we're dealing with. You're going to want to know what an XBD is, you're going to want to understand why these things are popping up in front of the characters, all of that. I was watching the show and thinking about how much less enjoyable it would be if I knew nothing about Cyberpunk. It felt like it'd be a pretty big difference, so get prepared ahead of time. Alright, first I'll talk about what I like, and then I'll get to what I don't like, but we're going to get into spoiler territory there. I'll warn you ahead of time, but honestly, if you're watching this to outweigh the pros and cons to decide if you want to watch it or not, just go and watch it, get familiar with Cyberpunk, and just watch it. It's 10 episodes, it's on Netflix, just give it a shot. And by the way, if you're going to comment your opinions on the show, which I would love to hear, please keep them spoiler free. If you really gotta discuss a spoiler, then put a bunch of red bubble emojis or exclamation marks and put spoilers in all caps or something. Let's jump into my likes. First off with the art style. The colors are vibrant, and I don't know how to explain it, but just the way that they draw the characters and the backgrounds are sort of reminiscent of the sleek, metal, and plastic world of Cyberpunk. The character designs themselves are very well put together and look like they would fit into the world perfectly, aside from Rebecca. Although she was arguably my favorite character, the teal skin and the pink tattoos just seem super out of place. Even though Cyberpunk has literal people made of chrome and gold, I think Rebecca stood out a lot. Other than that, the rest of the cast looked right at home with the rest of Night City. The music was great, I never found myself skipping the intro, and hearing I Really Want to Stay at Your House made the hairs on my arms stick up every time. The characters are likable and unique from one another, and everyone sort of has their own place in the story. Although some characters do get more screen time than others, everyone equally contributes to the overall plot across the 10 episodes. The voice acting was also really good, and I think having the story revolve around the Sandevistan was really cool rather than having hacking or, boring ass Berserk be the main focus. Alright, now let's get into my gripes with the show. From here on out, it's all spoilers, so if you don't want to hear that, get out of here. Click away, find something else to watch. Alright, my first big problem with the show. Story pacing. This show has an extremely strong start, and then by the middle it starts to switch things up, and then by the end it's like really drawn out, and then the finale is just all in your face. It's weird, it's noticeable. Like the beginning is David sort of growing up and how his life changes with the Sandevistan, but then it goes into full action anime, and then it reverts back to a relationship-based drama, and it's all written cohesively, there's a reason it goes back to a relationship-based drama, but it's just a really stark contrast with the majority of the show. In a similar vein, I found David when he was pre-borged out to be way more interesting than fully chromed out David. And maybe that was intentional so that you feel what the rest of the cast is feeling when they saw David go crazy with the upgrades, but at the same time, he's the main character, the show follows him. If he's not interesting to watch, then that kind of affects the rest of the show. Also, I mentioned how the end of the show is similar to the beginning, being less action-based, but I found the end to be way less interesting than the beginning, even if they're similar in tone. Another huge problem I have with the show is that by the end of the show, Lucy and Falco are the only people who remain from the crew. Sure, it hits hard emotionally, but a lot of these deaths just feel undeserved. Pilar's death was shocking, and so was Maine's, but Dorio's death felt undeserved, even if it was done to showcase how detrimental cyberpsychosis can be. Kiwi's death didn't really hit as hard, and when I saw Rebecca's death, I was literally saying to myself, really? It just felt like they were killing off characters at that point. Aside from all that, Cyberpunk Edgerunners is a great time. I'm not gonna lie, I love the way that Edgerunners illustrates Night City and just how insane the Cyberpunk universe is more than the actual video game does. Edgerunners is how these video game shows and movies should be done, an extension of the source material rather than a retelling. Even with the problems I mentioned, Edgerunners is a passionate, fun, engaging, and creative work of art through and through.